Good evening, everybody, and welcome to GHCI 2015. It's an absolute privilege and a delight to be in this room with all of you, and even more so to have the opportunity to introduce Kim. Kim is the Corporate Vice President and CIO at Intel. And Intel is a company which has a long-standing and dedicated involvement with the tech scene in India. There's absolutely no secret about that, so we're thrilled to have her here. As a room full of women technologists, one of the things that gives us utmost pleasure is to see a strong leader at the top committing to improving gender diversity in the workplace. We just heard Vijay talk about it, and Kim is no stranger to that space. Kim is an ardent and vocal supporter of STEM programs, addressing the issue where it begins, which is to fix the pipeline. We heard so many people talk about getting our children in. I have 2 daughters, and believe me, it would give me no more pleasure than to get them into computing as young as I possibly can. One of the things that impresses me about Kim is the fact that she runs a multi-billion-dollar business with 6,000 plus IT professionals. She sits on the board of multiple companies. She inspires men and women alike to aspire, dream big, and do more. And all of that is just in a day's work for her. She has fought ominous travel advisories, inclement weather, the inimitable jet lag to make this trip out to India just to address us. So please, let's give her a rousing welcome to tell her that we are worth it and we are thrilled to have her here. Ladies and gentlemen, Kim Stevenson.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. Yep, it is great to be here despite the obstacles that sometimes want to put you in a place where you don't want to be. So I'm glad to be here, thrilled to see a packed room, and I want to talk today about what I'll call the butterfly effect. So first you have to accept that technology has permanently changed business, and it is threatening all traditional business models. Our profession, what we choose to do, has driven this disruption across every industry. And as women, we are increasingly at the center of these disruptive changes. You all received on your chair a butterfly sticker, and so I want you to hold on to that, but you have to wait till the end for me to tell you what you're supposed to do with that. Let me start, though, by explaining what the butterfly effect is. And it comes from chaos theory. And it says that the dependence on initial conditions in which a small change in one state of a deterministic nonlinear system can result in large differences in a later state. Or simply said, a minor change can cause a large outcome. Large outcomes, big differences, big impact. That's why we chose to be in technology. It's what we want to do with our careers. So you have to think about the impact technology makes. And business is different today. It's forever changed because of technology. Industries have been completely reinvented, and in the process, they're destroying those traditional business models. The companies who are winning are those who are exploiting technology to create new services, right? They're trying to reach new marketplaces and improve operational performance of the company. Today, I would tell you every business is a technology business, where data and analytics are the key assets and services are the vehicle to monetize that value. The role of the technologist has never been better because in these companies, technology is the strategy and innovation is the key to winning. So that's what makes me excited about today, where we are as an industry and our role in that industry. Now, the old business models derived profits from exploiting physical assets, things like inventory, infrastructure, and property. Our new business models, the ones that are winning in the marketplace today, derive profits from digital data and digital connections. Now, we have examples in every industry. Airbnb is now the largest global accommodations provider, but they own no hotel rooms. They own no property. WeChat is now the largest phone company, yet they own no telecommunications infrastructure. SocietyOne is the fastest growing bank in Australia, but they actually possess no money. They connect borrowers and investors to create great lending opportunities for everyone. And in the software space, something we're all familiar with, Google and Apple are the largest software companies, yet they don't write any apps. They provide a platform and an ecosystem to monetize those applications. So technology is powerful today, it's affordable, and it's available to everyone, which enables disruption to happen very, very quickly. And it makes that platform and ecosystem the strategic control points that a company needs to win. So Uber has grown really quickly to be the largest taxi company, but they own no cars. So what is Uber really? I'll tell you, it's a simple mashup of 3 APIs: payments, maps, and inventory. And they use the Google and Apple ecosystem to reach millions of people every day, and on average, they deliver 1 million trips a day. So not only has Uber disrupted the taxi industry, and in cities like San Francisco, taxi rides have dropped 30% in 1 year. But they've also spawned an entirely new set of competitors. You have companies like Get and Wings and Didi Taxi going out there. And the industry values this innovation, these disruptive changes. In May, Uber did their last round of financing, and their company was valued at $50 billion. There is real money to be made in inventing disruptive technology. So I think about this stuff a lot, and a few months ago, I met Lara Yan. Lara is an intern in our Shanghai facility, and she and I share a common belief that disruption happens fast. Her experience was she went away to study at University of Michigan for 1 year. She was out of China. When she came home, she found that mobile apps had changed the way people in China live their daily lives. Lara gave me such great examples and made a powerful impact on me on how this new ecosystem made her life much easier, that I'd like to invite her up on stage right now and join me to have you tell also hear a day in the life. Hi, Lara. So before I hand you the clicker, just tell me a little bit about what got you interested in this making life easier.
Well, hi. Well, because after I go back to China, I find even my parents, they use WeChat, not a message, to send others informations, right? So I think there must something happens in China. Well, so I do some research. Maybe nowadays people do not need the wallet or something else. They can experience their whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you give us some examples?
Sure. Hi, I'm Lyra Yan, and I'm a software engineer intern from China Intel's IT department. Today, I will use an example of my Saturday to introduce how China Internet Plus changed our lifestyle. Let's start now. So, It's Saturday morning, and my friend invited me to join a reading club, which held it in his house. But it's a little bit late, so I used DD Taxi to call a taxi belonging to the formal taxi companies. Well, once one of the driver responds, the taxi will come to my place and pick me up. And by the way, there is another interesting function called drive off the behave, which means if I'm drunk, then I can make an online appointment with a driver, and then he will comes to help me drive my car back to home. Well, after I get to the destination, I just input the amount in DD apps, then the cell phone will jump to Alipay, which belongs to the biggest company, Alibaba, in China. Then use my fingerprint. So the taxi fee will be transferred to taxi driver's account automatically. By the way, the Alipay also has many other functions, like I can use it to recharge my cell phone fee, to book the flights and the railway tickets, to make an online appointment with a doctor, to pay it in 7-Eleven, and even I can use this app to money raises money. I just deposit my money inside the Alipay's account, and then I can gain about 80 cents per $10,000 every day. Well, after I get off the taxi, I find I miss my way. So it really happens a lot to me. So I contact my friend, use WeChat, and then he just say, hey, Lyra, open the share real-time location. So you see that both of us appear in one map. Then I just need to walk to the destination and then start discussing and reading. Well, then here comes the afternoon. You know that I'm hungry, but we still remain something to discuss. And I want to eat sushi, but my friend wants to eat hamburger. So this app called Are You Hungry is designed for the little people like us. I can choose variety of food in just one order, and then pay it online. So then the food will be sent to our house directly, and I can also check the status of the order. Well, after the reading club, you know that we want to play bowling to relax ourselves. But my friend also doesn't know the nearby place. So this app is Dianping, created by the Baidu, I think. Yeah. It's like a combination of Groupon and Yelp. So it can show me all the nearby bowling alleys, and then with rating rated by the customers. So I choose the best one and enjoy the discount. Also, I book a seat in advance, use this app. You know that my friend also calls another friend to play with us, but I even didn't know this guy, but we want to keep in touch in the future. So the WeChat has another function. It identifies each person use a unique QR code. So I just use the scanner inside the WeChat to scan his QR code, send the friend a request, and now we become friends and we can keep in touch in the future. Well, you know, after a whole day's activities, I feel really exhausted. But I still remember I have to attend my brother's engagement tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., which means I have to find someone else to help me make up before 9 a.m. maybe. There is an O2O app called Heli. It's really an amazing app. Like, I can choose the service I like, and then I can choose any style I want. So then make an online appointment with a fashion designer. Set the time, set the location. So tomorrow morning, at that time, the fashion designer will come to my house and help me to make up myself. And by the way, all the fashion designers in this app has rating and certification. So I don't need to worry about the security problems. So I can sleep now. That's how I experience my whole days, using just one cell phone maybe. Yeah. Thank you.
Outstanding. So now let me ask you, so is this just you because you're a software engineer, or do you think that this is a global phenomenon that people are going to adopt?
Actually, it's the you know that I'm also at Shanghai Jiao Tong University. I'm studying that. We are very lazy students, so I don't want to go to the maybe canteen. So I used Are You Hungry to book the lunch and dinner every day. So it is very popular way.
So maybe not lazy, but maybe dedicated work.
Yes.
Thank you, Lara.
Thank you, Kim.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So she did a fabulous job, didn't she? Thank you. So we're consuming technology, as Lara said. But as these new ecosystems develop, women are increasingly in leadership positions. I wanted to share with you a few of my favorite leaders. The first is Debjani Ghosh. So Debjani Ghosh is a Intel VP, and she is the Managing Director of South Asia, leading all of our go-to-market activities in South Asia. She recently was ranked the 14th most powerful woman in India by Fortune India magazine. And earlier this year, in the summer, Debjani was named President of the Manufacturing Association of IT. She is the first woman in 32 years of the organization's existence to hold the position of president. And she's holding it at a time when India is going through a massive digital transformation. And she will lead the Design for India initiative, and I think make a huge difference in the country. Susan Wojcicki is the CEO of YouTube, right? She built the business around Google search, and she built the AdWords self-service platform. And then she had this idea that Google should buy YouTube. And so she spearheaded that activity to get Google to buy YouTube. They paid $1.6 billion for it. It is now valued at over $80 billion thanks to her leadership. She's also a mother of 5. So she is a true inspiration that you can be a really phenomenal, transformative, and disruptive leader and have a great family life. And the last inspirational woman to me is Jean-Louis Jing, who is the president of DDI, the DDI taxi company. So they created the taxi app, but they did it a little differently than Uber and how the business model. So they actually decided to use the existing taxi cabs that allow you to hail a traditional taxi, but also select a private car service if that was if you needed. They are now the largest on-demand transportation company in China. And I could go on. I have many more examples of women leading technology companies, but the point is the times have changed and we are in significant leadership positions across the industry. But that's not all we do, right? We are now, as a population, the largest consumer of consumer electronics. We purchase more consumer electronics at 65%, but we influence nearly 89% of all consumer electronics purchases. And when we buy something, we spend more. So that's good for the industry too. So we're the consumers, we also are creating disruptive technology. The female patenting in computer science and software has grown dramatically. But what results show is actually it's mixed gender teams that produce the best results. And that's measured by the patents most frequently cited. Now, 20 years ago, it was common for companies to have no female inventors. By 2005, nearly 25% of companies, the company's patents had at least one female inventor on the patent. Women now lead tech companies, we consume technology, and we create technology. Every part of this ecosystem is changing. We look like the customer, we think like the customer because we are the customer. That puts us in a position that is uniquely different than we've been in the past. We're on the cusp of change, but we are far from done. So, in the beginning, I said the butterfly effect was taking small actions that can create a large change in a later state. Naina Lal did just this. After the Niraba incident, Naina Lal went places and people were judging India. And it bothered her that people didn't know the existence of the many successful women in India and how they were working to change society. So she decided to take action. She picked the women who run organizations to tell their stories about themselves, and she captured it in a book she wrote called 30 Women in Power. Now, while writing a book may not actually seem like a small action, in the grand universe of things that can be done, it is. And it has resulted in inspiring and empowering women globally to help drive more change. I take great inspiration from this story. And I hope that you do too, because I think like Geetha, we think alike. First of all, driving global change is not easy, but we can make a difference. Each of us can take 3 small actions that will increase the role women play in technology. So I'm going to ask you to take those actions. The first is convince 1 more young woman to study STEM by getting involved in your local schools or organizations so that they can see what successful women look like and aspire to be like you. And then I'm going to ask you to assist by getting 1 more professional woman to help advance her career, right? By mentoring, giving her opportunities, advocating for her, sharing the great work of accomplishments that you see women make. It all can be done. And then I want you to mobilize 1 more colleague to do the same for others, and that's your pay it forward activity. So if each of us do these 3 things, we will increase the pipeline for women in tech, and we will accelerate the careers of women that are in tech. So, what actions will you take? Now for the sticker. So I like symbols, and the butterfly sticker is a symbol to remind you of those 3 actions. You can display it on your computer, you can display it on your work badge, but put it somewhere what will remind you every day, did I take my 3 actions? What can I do today to make it easier for women in tech? Together, I think we can change the game. And then I have saved some time for questions, so I'd love to take an opportunity to answer some questions. And I think we have mic runners, right? Thanks, thank you. Now, I can't actually see people, so someone's going to have to either turn the lights or flag me that where people have questions. Okay, great. And I see you.
Kim, thank you for that wonderful, wonderful speech. And I have to preface with, I had no idea what Kim was going to talk about, so this question comes entirely from what you just said. I was very inspired by the disruption piece. It sounds exciting. But at some level, I'm wondering, as a woman technologist working in an organization, it seems a little bit harder to reach. What would be your advice to somebody? Because it seems like an incremental change is something that's easier to aspire to. How do you look at something that's so disruptive and say, you know what, I think I can do that? It seems a bit harder to reach. What would be your advice to somebody like me?
Yeah, so I actually think you have to start with the end in mind, and then you create incremental steps to the end. So there's nothing wrong with those incremental steps, but they need to be towards something bigger. And just like if you were an entrepreneur, you have to sell your ideas first to investors, and then you have to sell it to potential customers. You have to do the same thing in large companies, right? You have to build an advocacy base. So you have to sell your idea, and you have to start thinking about that in the end state. So I challenge people to think about how much time they spend talking about the future, like that end state, that disruptive possibility, versus the present. Leaders talk about the future more than they talk about the present. And once you get comfortable in that, you actually win over people to move to that disruptive state. And then you take it in incremental steps, and you learn from every one of those steps, and you'll adjust the plan based on it. So it's far less intimidating when you think about it in those compartmental pieces.
Thank you.
Nice talk. I'm Dr. Nilima, faculty from one of the engineering colleges in Karnataka. So being a faculty, I do encourage my girl students, and we also organize some events for the girl students. So that is one part we are doing. So I'm just curious to know your viewpoints on something like bringing girl students into the STEM field as one thing, and how do we maintain the quality so that they make change when they enter into the industry or somewhere. So what actually, with a close observation, what I came to know is maybe they are lacking in the training or something. When I compare with my boy students, the girl students are missing the quality in the work. Means it's not because of the training or something, because they may have to take a break or something. They're not achieving the quality. So how what are your thoughts on bringing the girl students into the STEM with quality?
So I don't think of it in terms of quality as gender differentiated, but when you, so there's lots of research that shows that things like taking a break actually improve your output. And so I do encourage people, especially if you think about students. Students study nonstop, right? The curriculums are hard in the STEM areas. And if they take just even a 5-minute break, take a walk around the campus, take, don't do more computer stuff, but, go make a phone call home, do something for just a few minutes, it increases their attention span so that they can finish. And it's almost counterintuitive that you would encourage people to take a break so that they can become more focused, but physically we tire. And so that's one thing I would say. The second thing I would say is a lot of work is done in teams now in universities. And these mixed gender teams are really important. That's going to be the kind of team they work on in the workplace. So I would encourage that they be mixed gender teams where different strengths are leveraged. That I may really be good at writing the test cases, or you may be really good at writing code, or whatever the case may be, but we'll learn to appreciate others' strengths, because that actually is going to mimic real life. So those are just a couple of things that we try to do. And there's always the pressure of deadlines, so it's deadlines are something we all live with, and it increases the pressure, but I think those little planned breaks they don't have to be long to be effective, and they're really important. Okay, I think I see one way back there.
Hello, hi, I'm Sandhya, and I'm a student scholar. So we've been talking about taking small actions to make a big difference. If you've heard about Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In Circles, then I've been inspiring women in my campus to lean into their careers and in STEM fields especially. But I am just a student, and people won't listen to me. My friends, my juniors, and especially my relatives, they say, "Who are you? I mean, you haven't achieved anything. How can you tell us to, be a part of STEM technology, of STEM career? Or how can you say that this is good? Or what do you know about being a woman? You're just 22. So what small action should I take to actually, convince them that they should lean into their careers?"
Yeah. So first of all, you have to believe in yourself, and it sounds like you do.
Yeah, I do.
But then I would do show and tell, right? I would take some of those apps, I would show them how to order their food in an easier way. I'd show them how to get transportation in an easier way. And, you know, Uber is about 40% the cost of a traditional taxi, so your parents will love it. But I think you have to take them on the journey with you, and you can't be dissuaded. There will always be people in this world who don't believe in us. There always will be. But they can't dissuade you. They're just a distraction and noise. The best way is to bring them on the journey. Show and tell, give them something that you think would change, would make their life different. Because that's what they'll be convinced by, right? Experience does matter.
Yeah.
But experience is not sufficient. And so when you marry experience with genuine innovation and ingenuity and fresh ideas, you get great things. And so I always talk about, you know, it's great that we have some experienced people in the workforce that have been there, done that, and we have some new people that have such great fresh ideas that they won't be deterred by anything. And that's the kind of discussion you should be having with all of those people in your life that are not supportive.
Okay, so you mean become an example and you know, convince them that, you know, to.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hello, Kim. I have a question. Yeah.
Okay, you have to tell me where you are.
I'm waving my hand.
Okay, ask the question.
Okay, first of all, thank you. It was wonderful listening to you. So I'm Harleen, and I'm from MasterCard, and we also support STEM a lot. So we have something called as Girls for Tech, where we bring in young girls to our campus and then tell them about technology. So I wanted to know, what is it? Do you do something in Intel which we could also maybe implement, or something which we could make it better at our place?
Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of things, and we do a lot of things in the schools. And probably one of the most effective things that has come up recently is Girls Who Code. Are you familiar with Girls Who Code? So it's a fantastic organization, and what we do in the summers, we sponsor girls' summer courses on teaching them how to code. So they enter not knowing how to code at all, and they leave knowing how to do a significant amount of programming. And that has been, we've done it for 3 summers in a row. I still get emails from the girls in the first class who are now in college in STEM. One of them sent me a note this summer, and she's in college and she started her own business. And it's about creating environments that, virtual pets, and teaching girls how to code through virtual pets. So, you know, it's just been a really good thing, and it's an easy thing to do. It doesn't take a lot of money, and the Girls Who Code organization has a infrastructure that allows you to adopt it really quickly. So that would be my one recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Aditi. I'm from JP Morgan Chase. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you, I've been struggling with a lot of questions, frankly speaking. And the one thing that came to my mind was that over the years, is there a pattern in the skill set of women candidates that you have seen, candidates and employees? And the intention and the reason that I'm asking is that how can I, from JP Morgan Chase or any other company, leverage that particular skill set across?
Yeah. So that's a great question, because work styles have changed a lot in IT. We now do things like Agile and Scrum teams and DevOps, and it requires a lot more teamwork. So women historically have had better relationship skills, and I think it starts in childhood. And now when you change the work styles, where you have to have this continuous integration, continuous development process, it requires that you have good relationship skills. So no longer can the engineers disparage the operations people. No longer can the infrastructure people disparage the application people. And so it's almost like the perfect time where these relationship skills that women possess naturally can be leveraged in a more powerful way than they could in the past. And so most computer science curriculums or electrical engineering curriculums in university, there is so much in the curriculum, there's not enough time to teach soft skills. So most engineers come into the workplace with, not the greatest soft skills. And so you think about putting a woman in that mix with these great relationship skills and the whole team gets more productive. So, and I've seen that work, so I'm really excited about what the future is because our work styles have changed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Kim. Right at the back, waving my hand to your right.
I see.
Yeah. Hi, I'm from Microsoft. Really appreciate your time. One question. If there are 3 things you would recommend, is it echoing? Being in the industry for so long, if there are 3 things you would recommend to people like us who are in technology and want to continue their career here, what would those be? As a woman, as a technologist, as a sales professional, or any challenges that you have seen and learned from them?
Yeah. So the first one is, I would tell you, you have to do stuff that you love, right? So things that you're passionate about. We spend far too much time at work to not love what we do. And the way I look at that is not really the tasks that I'm doing every day, but I look at the outcomes I'm trying to drive. And when I can get passionate about the outcomes I'm trying to drive, I do great work. And so that's what I would say. You have to think about, are you passionate about the outcomes you're trying to drive? If you're not, change it. Change it. Life is short, and there's so many opportunities out there that you can find work to do that you're passionate about. So that's the first thing. The second thing is always, always, always keep a strong network and build a strong network. And I think about networks in much the way I think about a technology. So Metcalfe's law says the power of your network is the number of nodes squared in the network. That's the same thing with your human network. And so I am a node in my network, and I look at where is my network today, and where do I need my network to be in the future to get accomplished what I want to get accomplished. And the difference between men and women in this area is men network for a purpose. They have people in their network specifically to help them achieve something. Women network and find women that they like, that they want to spend time with, whether they can help them or not. And so, and we call them girlfriends. I have a lot of girlfriends, but we actually need both, right? We need to be around people we like. It fulfills something in us, but we also need to have people in our network that can help us accomplish things. And so, I know Telly, and she emailed me and said, hey, will you come speak here? If I didn't know her, she wasn't already in my network, I probably wouldn't have accepted the invitation. And then what would that be? That's my loss for not having the opportunity to be here and meet a lot of you and see what's happening here in India. So it plays out in life every single day. So that would be the second thing, is look at that network and network for a purpose. The third thing is, I think every one of us have to be an advocate for other women. There's too few women in the room right now, and if we're not advocating for one another, then we're not going to be heard. We're not as powerful of a voice. And so I always say, you don't have to do something that makes you uncomfortable. So you don't have to agree with something that you don't agree with. But you can find things in everything that people do that are their good traits to help advocate for those women, the work that they do, and get it shown. Even if it is tweeting out or posting on Facebook some great work that you saw another woman do, that helps, right? And so I think that advocacy is really important in how we grow through others. But our careers, when you're seen as a leader who helps others, your career will grow.
Thank you.
Okay, we have maybe time for one more, yeah.
Okay. Hi, Kim. I'm Priya from Tesco Technology. As you are aware, technology is continuously changing, right? What's relevant yesterday is probably no longer today. So when we are leading large teams and when we have suggestions, right? So example, if I'm thinking of Angular, my team is saying, can we think of React and experiment it? So what would be your advice for leaders like us who's managing large teams to stay technologically relevant and help the teams, take them through it?
Yeah. So we are in the fastest changing profession one could ever be in. And so this idea that the skills you have today are going to be the things you're using 5 years from now, it's probably not true, right? And that when you're leading a large team, you have to spend time on what that future skill set looks like, and you have to invest ahead of the curve in order to have the skills you need when you need them. And that's really hard to do because we're really busy people, right? So you have to find ways to interject new things. And so I mentioned DevOps earlier. You know, we've been in the process of converting over to the DevOps methodology for about 18 months now. And that was one we were trying to figure out how in the world were we going to fit that in. We didn't have funding, there's no budget for it, but we know it was a better way to work. And so we picked small areas to test it in that we had change going on anyway. So if we're going to change it anyway, let's change the methodology at the same time, right? And let's bring in some experts to help train us in the methodology, and then let those people that get trained grow into, they grew into being the leaders of the areas that we expanded DevOps into. So I think you have to constantly be thinking about those kinds of things, and you need to be 2 steps ahead of where your people are that you're leading, because you're the one that has to see around the corner, think about what problems you may anticipate, think about what skills, which is why I said earlier, leaders spend a lot of time thinking about the future. So, okay, with
Hi,
that,
Kim.
I want to thank you.
Kim,
Oh.
I just wanted to ask you one last question.
Okay,
Sorry, this is, yeah. So I'm Akriti, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm running a company. So it's really great that you talked a lot about how these corporates are helping women come on board and, you know, they're hiring like crazy. But what can you do for, like, how do you convince women to actually leave their stable job and actually become a founder? Because disruption happens when you're a founder of something, when you believe in something, and, you know, like, that's how it was difficult for me to move from a corporate job to being an entrepreneur. So what do you tell the women sitting here, or just me, how do you survive that, or how do you become more entrepreneurial while you're in a corporate job?
Yeah, so leaving the security of corporate life to do your own thing is very, very scary, as I'm sure you're living right now. But it is the source of a lot of innovation in our industry. The startup community has long been, you know, a source of innovation. One of the things that we're doing at Intel is we have created a diversity fund, and where we're investing specifically in companies led by diverse women, underrepresented minorities, et cetera. And we're not doing it because they're women. We're looking at their technology and their business plan, and we're saying we think that is helpful to the industry and will help evolve computing, which is beneficial to Intel. And through that, then they get mentoring and coaching. You know, as we become investors in the company, they get mentoring and coaching. And I don't know any entrepreneur that has been successful without mentoring and coaching. And so your investors are great sources of that as a resource. And so you need support just like you would need support in a corporate job. So I would recommend you think about that as you're going. So with that, again, I thank you. Have a great conference. I'm looking forward to being here. Thanks.
Thank you, Kim. I request you to please remain on stage one moment, please.
Okay, okay.
And Geeta, may I request you to please present Kim with a memento, thanking her for her inspiring messages this afternoon.
Thank you. So, yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.